So students, let's start with the revision of history chapter 10, that is India after independence. Okay, we are starting the revision chapter 10 history India after independence. We will cover the following points that comes under the points to remember. A new and divided nation, a constitution is written, how were states to be formed, and planning for development, and the nation 60 years on. Let's have a recap of this chapter which we have already discussed. I am going to cover the important points of this chapter, so listen to me carefully, as it is clear from the chapter's name that India after independence. So in this chapter we are going to read the scene of India just after the independence. Students, we got the independence but at the cost of partition or the division. As we all know that India was divided into India and Pakistan. So just after the independence, India faced a series of enormous challenges that we are going to discuss under the topic a new and divided nation. First of all, the problem of refugees and princely states, which had to be addressed immediately. What are refugees and what are their problems? We will discuss in the form of question and answers also. I just want to tell you right now that the problems of the refugees and the princely state, refugees are the person who have faced violence and the conflicts and came to another country to find a safety. Number two, if we talk about that, there was a problem of to create a political system that would best serve the hopes and the aspirations of the country. There was a duty of a government to form a political system in such a way that would best serve the hopes and the aspirations of the country, which was one of the big problem at that time that we faced just after the independence. And another problem was that we were facing poverty. Okay, because India is an agriculture based country and the people here or the farmers are dependent on the monsoon for their survival. So to lifting up India out of poverty, that was a big challenge at that time. See, another, unity and development, which was very much required at that time, because without unity we cannot say that the country could develop. At that time, if we talk about just after the partition, although India was a big country, but it was divided. India was divided. It was a big country. It was divided into upper and lower caste and Hindus and Muslims, which was the major problem at that time, which had to be addressed immediately by the government of the India. So we have here covered the topic number 1. The second topic I am going to explain you. That is a constitution is written. Okay students, what is constitution is important for you to know. The constitution is a document that establishes the political values and the powers of the government as well as the right of the citizens. That is the constitution. We have one of the big and the written constitution in the world, which was drafted by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. As we all know that B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee of the Indian constitution, and he also belongs to the Mahar community. Students, if we talk about when the constitution was made, many delegates or the representative of the India met at New Delhi and discussed how the constitution would be, means to plan a rough framework of a constitution, and it came into a form of framing of constitution in 26 January 1950. So it came into a form of a new constitution on 26 January 1950. Students, at that time there was a issue of untouchability or the untouchables also, means the temples, but at that time after the constitution was made, the untouchability was completely abolished. The temples which were once open for the higher classes or the upper classes, we could say, it's now open for all, and the scheduled caste or the tribal people, untouchables, they were provided reservation. Reservation in which form? Reservation in recruitment, in jobs, in placements, they got reservation. ठीक है. The another problem which were faced at that time, and our representative gave a lot of time to discussing the relation between central and state. ठीक है बेटा, स्टेट और रिलेशन सेंटर के बीच में किस तरीके का रिलेशन होना चाहिए. तो फाइनल डिसीजन जो निकल कर सामने आया वो ये था कि ऑल्दो जो सेंट्रल के पास पावर्स होनी चाहिए, बट इट शुड ऑल्सो बी डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड अमंग द स्टेट्स ऑफ द इंडिया. तो इसमें 3 लिस्ट आई बेटा, दैट इज यूनियन लिस्ट, स्टेट लिस्ट एंड द कॉन्करेंट लिस्ट. जो डिवीजन सिर्फ जो पार्ट्स, सपोज एग्रीकल्चर या टैक्सेस या डिफेंस की हम बात करें, तो वो सिर्फ यूनियन लिस्ट के अंदर आए जो कि सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट डील करेगी. सम कम्स अंडर द स्टेट which will deal by the state government, and some topics comes under the concurrent list which would deal by state and the central government altogether. Okay students, now we are going to discuss the third points, how were states to be formed. What happened beta, अब जो कंट्री का जब डिवीज़न हुआ, तो मैनी पीपल डिमांडेड टू सेपरेट द नेशन ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ लैंग्वेज. ऑन 1 October 1953 द फर्स्ट स्टेट ऑफ द आंध्र प्रदेश came into existence, which was divided on the basis of the language, on the demand of the people, because they wanted to have a separate nation on the basis of the language. But it was opposed by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, our Prime Minister Nehru ji, and the Deputy Prime Minister, I am writing in a short form, Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, they both were against the creation of the linguistic states, means on the basis of the language. Here student, it is mentioned in your book, I am going to read on page number 133, that is on October, means that a veteran Gandhi named Poti Shri Malu were on a hunger strike demanding the formation of Andhra to protect the interest of Telugu speakers. तो तेलुगु स्पीकर्स थे, उन्होंने डिमांड करी कि एक अलग से आंध्र प्रदेश बनना चाहिए जिसमें कि सिर्फ तेलुगु स्पीकर्स रहेंगे. इन्होंने डिमांड करी, ये इनके लीडर थे. जब when he died, but on 1st October 1953 the Andhra came into existence. So we could say that although it was being strongly opposed by the leaders of the country, but the Andhra came into a form of a new state that is called on the basis of the linguistic state, we could say. जब आंध्रा का डिवीज़न हो गया, many other states also demanded, we could say that Punjab was divided into Punjab and Haryana. Mumbai, the bilingual state of Mumbai was divided into Gujarati and Marathi speakers, and moreover the north region, we could say the north region was the सबसे ज़्यादा हिंदी spoken people वहाँ पर थे. It was also divided on the base of languages. So now the planning for development. Here we are going to discuss planning for development. When India got independence, there was a certain idea in the mind of people who made the government that how to plan and how it will work for the development of the country. That comes under the topic प्लानिंग फॉर डेवलपमेंट. बेटा जब भी हम कोई नया एजेंडा लेते हैं या कोई भी नया काम हमारे सामने आता है तो हम उसका एक रफ स्केच वर्क तैयार कर. सो अमंग द मेजर ऑब्जेक्टिव्स that how could we develop the country, that was lifting up its masses out of poverty and set up a modern industrial and technical base for the country. I am again telling you, among the other objectives of under the development of the country, first of all lifting up India and Indians out of poverty. ठीक है, that was the biggest issue we were facing at that time, the poverty. ठीक है, lifting up India and Indians out of poverty and to set up a modern, technical and industrial base. ठीक है बेटा, इसके लिए our government of India introduced, or we could say put more emphasis into the mixed economy model. That is very much important for you to know, that is mixed economy model, which talks about that the private and public sector would coexist, मतलब एक साथ चलेंगे. Private sector which is owned and run by the individuals or a group of individuals, and the public sector which is owned and run by the government. So government of India emphasized on the development of mixed economic model. That means that the private and the public sector would coexist. ठीक है. Now in 1950 the government of India set up a planning commission to help design and execute suitable policies for the development, or the we could say the economic development of the country. In 1956 second 5-year plan was executed, under which more emphasis, or it focused mainly on the development of the heavy industries and the building of dams. Under that the dam was built named Gandhi Sagar Dam in MP on the Chambal River. ठीक है बेटा, तो उस समय डैम्स को बनाना, हैवी इंडस्ट्रीज को बनाना डेवलपमेंट का एक साइन माना जाता था. दैट इट वॉज क्रिएटेड एज अ साइन ऑफ अ डेवलपमेंट फॉर द कमिंग और द मॉडर्न इंडिया. Clear? I have told you about the Gandhi Sagar Dam which was built on Chambal River in state of Madhya Pradesh, right? And the Bhilai steel plant was also established at that time. ठीक है, तो धीरे धीरे हम लोग ये पढ़ने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं. ये बता रही हूँ मैं आप लोगों को कि किस तरीके से इंडिया में इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद कौन कौन सी प्रॉब्लम फेस करी वन बाय वन, और किस तरह से we came over from these challenges. Now the last point we are going to discuss, this is very important point, the nation 60 years and on. On 15th August 2007, India celebrated its existence of 60 years, means we celebrated the 60 years of the independence. In that time India faced a lot of challenges and there was a failures and the successes both. दोनों हम लोगों को फेस करनी पड़ी. ठीक है बच्चों, on 15th August 2007 India celebrates 60 years of its existence as a free nation on 15th August 2007. और अभी तक अगर हम बात करें तो we face successes and the challenges both. सबसे पहले अगर हम successes की बात करें तो there is a unity in diversity free press, independent judiciary, एंड फाइनली दैट स्टिल अ डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री। जब इंडिया का डिवीजन हुआ था तो बहुत सारे लोगों ने इस पर क्वेश्चन उठाया था कि ये डेमोक्रेसी ज़्यादा टाइम तक नहीं रह पाएगी, कि यूनाइटेड नहीं रह पाएगी, बट अभी तक हमारे यहाँ पर डेमोक्रेसी है। Unity in diversity, although we belongs to different regions, states, culture, caste, but there is a diversity, there is a unity in the diversity, which is one of a key feature of our Indian constitution as well as the success of the India independence. Now the free press in India, media are free to print and write anything to make the people aware about the scene what is going on in India. As you can see just in the farmer's case, farmer के केस की जो भी अभी हो रहा है वहाँ पर एमएसपी के अगेंस्ट वो लोग बैठे हुए हैं, प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं, वो सब हमको मीडिया के थ्रू पता लगता रहता है। अगर मीडिया फ्री नहीं होता, उनको राइट नहीं होता लिखने का, तो वी कांट बी अवेयर अबाउट द प्रॉब्लम्स। एंड द इंडिपेंडेंट जुडिशरी, बिकॉज द डिसीजन टेकन बाय द जुडिशरी इज फाइनल एंड इट इज अनबायस्ड होते हैं। जो भी डिसीजन लिया जाता है वो किसी भी एक ग्रुप के फेवर में नहीं होता है। अब अगर हम बात करें फेलियर्स की, तो फेलियर्स में देयर इज स्टिल अ गल्फ बिटवीन रिच एंड पुअर, there are clashes between you may write down the points or I am telling you, means there are clashes between different religion groups in many states. There is a gulf between rich and poor. There are clashes between regions and religion groups of the country, and the deep division persists. Still we can say that the untouchables or the Dalits face violation and the discrimination. Untouchables and this only are the some we could say the failures of the country after independence. As it is written in the last paragraph of your book, I am going to read it for you. You may underline it. The Constitution recognizes equality before the law, but in real life some Indians are more equal than others, judged by the standard it set itself at independence. The Republic of India has not been a great success, but it has not been a failure either. ठीक है, तो हम ऐसा कह सकते हैं कि चाहे सक्सेस ना हो लेकिन बहुत ज़्यादा फेलियर भी नहीं है। So students, we have discussed all the topics here. Let's discuss the internal as well as the copy questions of this chapter. Students, let's discuss the internal question and the copy question of history chapter 10, that is India after independence. Okay. First of all, we are going to discuss internal questions. Number 1. How many people came to India after partition? Answer, about 8 million refugees had come into the country as a result of partition. बेटा जब partition हुआ तो यहाँ पर 8 million refugees आए. Refugees are people who faced violence and conflict and try to set up or to find a safety in some another country, so they shifted here. These peoples are called refugees. Number 2. Who was the chairman of the drafting committee of Indian Constitution? As we all know that our constitution was drafted, it is one of our big and the written constitution in the world, and it was chaired by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who also belongs to a Mahar community and could understand their feelings very well. And there also बहुत सारे लोग थे बेटा, although constitution का जब framework तैयार हुआ, but it was chaired by the Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. ठीक है. Now question 3. When did new state of Andhra Pradesh come into existence? It came into existence on 1st October 1953. Okay students, very short answer type questions. Question number 1. Give one reason why English continued to be used in India after independence. Student, there was also a conflict regarding the usage of language, कि English हो या हिंदी हो. तो ये क्वेश्चन गिव वन रीजन वाई इंग्लिश continued to be used in India after independence. Here we are talking about the scene just after independence. South Indian states expressed strong opposition to Hindi. They were not in a favor of Hindi, so they opposed it. They didn't want to imposition of Hindi on the people of these areas. That's why English continued in India. Although the Hindi was declared as an official language of India, but English was continued in services, courts and recruitments. Okay. Question 2. What was the role of Planning Commission? Planning Commission was set up by the government of India, and the role of the Planning Commission, we could say, to help to design and execute suitable policies for the economic development, because at that time the economic development and to raise the people out of poverty was very much important. So government of India set up a planning commission to help design and execute suitable policies for the economic development of the country. Short answer type question. Question 3. Listen to me. What did Dr. Ambedkar mean when he said that in politics we will have equality and in social and economic life we will have inequality? This statement was given by Dr. Ambedkar. Why he said so, we are going to discuss in this answer. Students, Dr. Ambedkar pointed out that the political democracy had to be accompanied by economic and social democracy. According to them, that economic and social democracy should go simultaneously. एक वोट देने का राइट देने के बाद, जो कि यूनिवर्सल एडल्ट फ्रेंचाइज में हम लोगों ने चैप्टर में डिस्कस किया है, उनका मतलब था कि एक वोट देने का राइट देके हम सोशल जस्टिस नहीं ला सकते. He felt that giving the right to vote, I just told you now, that giving the right to vote would not automatically lead to the removal of the other inequalities. कौन सी inequalities की बात कर रहे हैं डॉक्टर अम्बेडकर यहाँ पर? Such as between rich and poor or between our upper and the lower caste, which could be seen at that time. So he wanted to abolish these kind of inequalities which could be seen at that time. Okay. Now, there were the problems which were faced by the India just after the independence. We are going to discuss. Question 4. Name 3 problems that the newly independent nation of India faced. The 3 problems are, we can say what, there were almost 500 princely states, each of whom had to be persuaded to join the new nation. Princely state which were ruled by princes, और कितनी थी वो? 500, each of whom had to be persuaded to join the new nation. Number 2, about 8 million refugees had come into the country from newly born Pakistan. Refugees यहाँ पर आए थे, उनको सेटअप करना, that was a big problem at that time. Number 2, the new nation had to adopt a political system that would best serve the hopes and aspirations of the people. It was also a duty of people, or we can say the people who made the government at that time, to मेक अ पॉलिटिकल सिस्टम जो कि वहाँ के रहने वाले लोगों की उम्मीदों पे बहुत अच्छे से, इनफैक्ट वी कैन से, खरा उतरे. सो आई एम अगेन रीडिंग दिस पॉइंट फॉर यू. द न्यू नेशन हैड टू adopt a political system that would best serve the hopes and aspirations of the people. Now the long answer type question. After independence, question number 5, long answer type question. After independence, why was there reluctance to divide the country on linguistic lines? Reluctance means unwilling. Why didn't they want to divide the country on the linguistic lines? Linguistic lines means on the basis of language. People demanded to separate the nation, to separate the states on the basis of languages. So why it was reluctant? Why the government reluctant? Let's discuss the answer. Answer. India got independence at the cost of its division This division had been done on the basis of religion. एक लाइन बहुत ध्यान से पढ़िएगा बच्चों. As a result of these divisions, more than a million people had been killed in riots. Riots means हिंदू मुस्लिम के बीच में जो लड़ाई हुई थी between Hindu and Muslim. In such circumstances, it was not wise to further divide the country on the basis of language. अभी अभी हमने एक पार्टीशन बर्दाश्त किया था. We got the independence, but at the cost of partition, we got a divided nation into India and the Pakistan. अब दूसरा डिवीज़न कैसे बर्दाश्त कर सकते थे कि लैंग्वेज के बेसिस पे भी अब कंट्री का डिवीज़न हो जाए. That's why they were reluctant to divide the country on the basis of linguistic lines. ठीक है. Both the Prime Minister Nehru and the Deputy Prime Minister, students, it is also very much important for you to underline that at that time our Prime Minister was Jawaharlal Nehru and the Deputy Prime Minister was Vallabhbhai Patel. They both were against the creation of linguistic states. Okay, now very long answer type question. Question number 6. How was the economic development of India visualized in the early decades after independence? Answer. In 1950, the government set up a planning commission to help design and execute the suitable policies for economic development. There was a broad agreement on mixed economy model, which we have just discussed while discussing or taking the recap of the chapter. Need not to tell you again. Here both the state and the private sector would play important role and complementary roles in increasing production and generating jobs. That was very much required at that time to produce the jobs and increase the production and to generate the jobs. In 1956, the second 5-year plan was formulated. Second 5-year plan was formulated in 1956, which focused on the development of heavy industries such as steel and on the building of large dams. This, which we have already discussed, these sectors would be under the control of the state. This focus on heavy industry and the effort of state regulation of the economy was to guide economic policy for next few decades. So students, here we have discussed the question and the answers of this chapter. I hope all of you understood this chapter well. Read it carefully once again so that you can make all your queries clear. So student, I hope you understood this chapter very well. Read it carefully. We have taken the revision of civics chapter 10 as well as the revision of history chapter 10. Thank you.